Today, we're going to be talking about driver's education and mental health. We're going to have a special guest coming on, and she's going to address some of those issues. This is going to be a great session. So, I want all of you to enjoy this. And when she comes in, we'll go ahead and get things going. I'm a state certified driving instructor. I teach um, adults and I teach teens. We may have to reboot and get the client back in, but I think it's really important that you set some personal goals for yourself. Driving is a big responsibility, and I think a lot of people misunderstand that and they don't really give themselves an opportunity to really fully learn. I think post COVID, there are going to be some other situations where you're going to have to really take the chance and bet on yourself. You can never go wrong betting on yourself. And I think it's got to come from your heart. It can't come from others. It can't come from a source outside of your positive network. And I think that is extremely important where you will really look into yourself. The window of time, it's about 10 years from what I've seen, like that 15 to 25, that 16 to 26, that 17 to 27. There are other people who are learning how to drive for various reasons. And when you have those various reasons, you will, you could make excuses. So today we will put those excuses aside. Today we'll welcome in positivity and other people who want to help you. So, um, what I'm going to do is see if we can get our client coming on. Just hold on one second. So, you know, goals are set. And what I need you to do is set those goals for yourself first. And it's got to come from your heart, it's got to come from you. And then when you have that positivity, you will reach your goals. So you got to decide. Driver's education is very expensive, and I understand that. And there is no promise or guarantee that you will come up with the money. Quality doesn't cost, it pays. And if you do your research and find a good instructor, they're going to help you, they're going to guide you, and they're going to prepare you. Um, be ready for that opportunity. You've got to go out and get that opportunity. You've got to go out and manifest yourself getting ready to drive. Um, you have to see that opportunity to drive. And if you have questions about driving, you put it in. Typically, what happens 14.8, 14.9, 15, 16, 17, you register in the public school for a driver's education program. And then you're taught through a certified instructor, they're licensed through the state. Uh, the school may have 5 to 7 cars. Um, they'll have an area where they fill up the cars. The school will have maintenance, work on the cars, take care of them, service them. There'll be a brake installed in the car. So what I need you to do is, search that out. And we got our guest coming in now. So, hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Hold on one second. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Oh, good. I took my speaker off. I am so excited. I want you to introduce yourself first. I was just talking about the goals and motivation to want to learn how to drive, that window of time between like 14.9 and 24 or 15 and 25 or
Hmm.
16 and 25. I want us to be natural and pure. This is going to be so exciting. And We're just going to speak from our heart. We do have some questions we're going to ask each other.
Yep.
Um, but I think if we just come from the heart and stay on topic, it's really going to benefit a lot of people. So I'm really excited. This is my first co-host on the channel, and I want it to be many more. I want to be able to help you grow, help us grow, and um,
Absolutely.
that's
Which
that's
thank
what
you.
it's all
Thank you
about.
very much. Absolutely.
Go ahead and share a little bit about yourself first.
For sure. So, my name is Kiera Wharton, and I am an LCPC, which is a licensed clinical professional counselor in the state of Maryland. I did have the pleasure of meeting you within the last few weeks, which you are phenomenal with what you do. But I am currently a mental health therapist who sees children, adolescents, adults within the school setting, within my private office, as well as within the community. And yeah, I see them all within different ranges of mental health diagnoses. My jam, so to speak, is anxiety, depression, ADHD, oppositional defiant disorder. But overall, I do see a spectrum of different diagnoses. But my favorites, so to speak, are anxiety and depression for sure.
I totally agree with you. By me being in education and teaching adults and teens how to drive, I've seen this throughout my career.
Hmm.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen an increase in oppositional defiance from males, from females. I've
Hmm.
seen a lot of parents who are very nervous about
Yes.
getting their sons and daughters on the road. This is a big
Mhm,
responsibility. I've taught at the high school level, I've
mhm,
taught and coached at the college level, done middle school.
mhm,
Um, I think it's going to come sooner or later. I know
mhm.
you're a young mother of three. I have two. They will grow up. They
Yes,
will at one
yes.
point learn how to
Leave
drive.
the nest. Yes, yes.
Exactly. And we've seen good things on the road. We've seen
Mhm,
bad things on the road.
mhm.
We only want the best for our sons and daughters and the overall mental health of the community. Um,
Absolutely.
can you speak a little bit on COVID because you're more of a professional? How
Yeah.
has COVID maybe impacted people's uh, comfort to interact with the public?
It has severely decreased. When I say I can't even give you a percentage, but it is, I mean, through the roof. Just the severity and the significance that anxiety and depression have really plagued, especially our younger generation, with being able to be social. I mean,
Mm,
I'm a little bit older and you're a little bit older than me, and we come from, that face-to-face interaction and and
yep.
and and having those conversations, and there's nothing like those warm bodies. But the younger generation has become very comfortable with the behind the scenes, meaning behind the screen,
Mhm.
and being more comfortable, which is good in some aspects. However, getting out and getting into the community is really what's going to be important. That is where they'll be able to develop appropriate social skills,
Mhm.
develop independence, being able to work, being able to go to the grocery store, those very basic things, so to speak, that we do on the day to day. A lot of our younger generation is kind of plagued with wanting to interact in that way.
I do agree with you. Post COVID, because I was in education, I'm still am. We went to full remote, so
Mhm.
um, those students were behind a computer screen, maybe
Mhm.
not motivated to interact with the public, not motivated
Mhm.
to learn to read and write, not
Mhm.
motivated to learn how to drive,
Mhm.
not motivated to just build those social skills.
Mhm.
Uh, Both of us are maybe kind of extreme extroverts. We thrive on interactivity. I always have been kind of that happy go lucky uncle,
Yep.
big brother, dad, because I come from a family of love and caring. Dad worked for Chrysler. Coming from the South, mom a nurse, um, a two-parent family, and I know the dynamics changes. You don't need A mom can raise a family, a dad can raise a family,
Yep.
but it makes it a little bit harder when you have extended members of the family, grandma, uncle, auntie, who
Mhm.
maybe can't always check an email, get to the phone. A little
Right.
daughter's acting up.
Right.
The son is clowning in school, and here I am trying to teach them to drive, and a kid makes
Right.
a mistake and runs a light or almost makes a horrible error. Thank you for the thumbs up. Um, and I try to look at driving as a life skill
Mhm.
because
It is, yeah.
um, you need money to put into your car for
Yep.
gas. You need insurance. You need
Yep.
to be humble and thankful
Mhm.
um, for your parents. We're going to sprinkle in some questions. Um, you can either ask, you know what, I'm going to ask you the first question. And this is going to be great. So, my first question for you, can you share a little bit about yourself and your journey being a mother of three?
Mhm.
And then, how do you balance your personal life, your social life? Um, kind of take me through that.
Yeah, so just kind of a background for me. So I am 34. I do have three kids, a 15, an almost 12, and an almost
Ooh.
10-year-old. They run my life, as many moms could agree, right? It's their world. I'm just living in it. And so along with that, I work full time. I do have a husband. He works full time. It's a busy house. So for me, uh, routine is what gets me through. I'm very strict on routine. Planning and scheduling is very important for me. It also helps my kids stay on track too, to be fair and to be honest. But balance for me, and this is very individualized because balance looks different for everyone. But, hello there.
This is Lola. So yeah,
Hello,
balance.
Lola. I can see where your balance comes from.
Yes, she's a very protective female. She will protect us. Okay, keep telling me
Yes.
about balance.
Yes, but my balance looks like family time, quality time, and downtime. So I have to be very intentional. So two of the things I speak to a lot on my platform and with my clients individually is balance, is creating boundaries, and is
Mm,
creating um, intentionality with the things that you
mm,
do. Right? Um, we do have to be intentional with the
mhm.
things that we're setting forth for ourselves. If not, we may fall short.
I totally agree with you. Me being a state certified driving instructor, done this over 24 years, graduated, tried out for the
Mhm,
NFL, a couple Canadian leagues,
mhm,
started teaching, doing driver's ed, coaching three sports in my mid 20s, 30s, and 40s.
mhm.
Um, and I had to learn organization
Yeah,
immediately. So, and then managing because with driver's education, you can make a lot of money, but you can burn out
right.
really fast. You'll show up late
Yeah,
for drives. You'll make errors in paperwork. You'll end
right,
up losing your job.
right.
And then
How have you found balance in that though over your years?
um, I stopped being selfish. I
Yeah.
stopped chasing money. I stopped.
Mm,
I'm not a materialistic person.
mhm,
Um,
mhm.
hey, Mike, how are you doing? Put in some questions for either Kiera. Am I saying your name right?
Yes, Kiara, yes.
Either Kiera or me. I think just thinking about my family. Whenever I work 8, 10, 12 hours, I always see my son, my daughter, my wife in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
I wanna come home safely because
Mhm.
I have a dangerous job. I'm
Mhm.
teaching someone who could potentially crash.
Yeah.
We've been in ditches, never had, well, we had a side swipe. We've been in the ditch before. We spun
Yeah.
out on the expressway. I don't think
Right.
about crashing. I know my job is extremely important and it can be dangerous. If
Yeah.
I, you mentioned mental health. 8 hours, 9 hours, that's about it. I could work 12 hours. I could work 14
Right.
hours. I could bring home 2,000, 3,000. $2,800 every couple of weeks, but at what toll?
Right.
Sleep
Right.
apnea, gaining weight, high blood
Right.
pressure,
Mhm.
medication, not being a good husband to my wife, not being a good dad, missing my son
Yeah.
grow up, missing my daughter
Mhm.
grow up.
Mhm.
I'm not going to chase, and feel free to stop me when you want. It can be very consuming.
Mhm.
and there's a
Well,
shortage of driver's instructors in this
mhm,
industry.
mhm,
So, making 100K, 120K, that's middle class. That's
right,
low middle class. And with education and hard work, you will be making that, but at what toll?
right. It sounds
So
like you really, found your purpose.
yes,
You found for you what was important for you in terms of what you needed to succeed within yourself, which again looks so different for everyone, but you then shifted. There was a shift.
I totally agree. First was my health.
Yeah.
I remember going to the doctor. My blood pressure was extremely high. I was not feeling good. My doctor said, "Oh my God, you could have died. I need to put
Mhm.
you on blood pressure medication immediately." He
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I wasn't getting enough sleep.
Mm.
So what I've learned, I want to be at one
Burnout.
location. I don't want to be at three different locations, driving five kids here, five
Mhm.
kids here. That's 15 hours, but I'm traveling an hour. So it's about quality than
Yes.
quantity. If I need to
Yep.
make 1,000 more, 500 more, I can
Mhm.
schedule.
Right.
But it helped me get my wedding ring. It helped my
Right.
wife and I go on a honeymoon. I think I worked 121 hours in 2
Wow.
weeks, but we
Oh
were
my
going on a
goodness.
honeymoon. Yes, to Chicago. I worked 121 or
Oh
122
my
hours.
goodness.
My boss almost said, I'm not going to pay you this money. I'm like, you're going to pay me this money. So I kill myself. But,
Yeah.
when you're younger, you grind, you put in work, don't think
Right.
about those things that can shorten your life.
Absolutely.
It helped us get our house.
Yeah.
It helped us, the honeymoon. It helped me get my race car.
Right.
I still had a race car. We still had a house, but you can't work those crazy hours because you're going to have a heart attack. You're going to fall
Absolutely.
out.
Yeah, that burnout comes quick, especially,
It's
when you're
real.
chasing, yeah, when you're chasing those things, and you said it best, that quality over the quantity of maybe the things you might want in life, right? But that doesn't mean you shouldn't be a go-getter for them either. It's about strategic planning and shifting that mindset.
I like what you said because I'm using your mental health philosophies. You know, my son, he's 24, he'll be 25. He see me from zero,
Mm,
grinding,
yeah,
putting in work. And when he was 0 to 3, I wasn't there a lot for him. But
yeah.
then when my daughter was born, I'm like, no, I'm gonna be home.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna drop some of these hours because deja vu, she needed me. And
Yeah,
she's 21 now. And these lessons I could share with you, be there for your family
yeah,
because they
yeah.
need you. I don't want to miss birthdays. I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
miss gymnastics meets. I don't want to miss
Mm-hmm.
sporting events. I would
Yeah,
always have to schedule those events around driver's ed.
right.
And I have to be I protect my private time. Do you
Yeah.
find yourself protecting your time? Can you share about people protecting their personal and private time?
Absolutely. This is something I preach. It's interesting. Well, it's funny because I always tell my clients, you're going to be really upset because I'm going to say the word again, which is
Mhm.
boundaries. Boundaries is so important, and they look different for so many different people. In order to protect your space, boundaries have to be implemented, and boundaries don't mean you're being selfish. Boundaries mean that you're protecting your peace, your space, your energy, who you allow in your space, who you talk to. um, you know phones are so, people feel that they have to communicate with you, or you have to respond to them, and no, that's not the case. We create barriers so that way we then can, open the gates for what we want, to have access to us, and who we don't want to have access to us, and that's okay too. So again, the boundaries along with that intentionality with it too, right? I'm going to be intentional about how I set these boundaries. I'm going to be intentional about when I have these conversations, or whose house I go to, or whose
Mhm.
party I'm, headed out to, or who's in my car with me while I'm driving. I'm going to be very intentional about those boundaries I put in place, And I call them hard and soft boundaries because
Mhm.
boundaries are meant to be flexible. Yesterday I may not have wanted to speak to anybody because my energy and my peace, my space
Yes.
would not allow it. However, today I feel, I woke up on a better side of the bed today. So
Mhm.
I may allow people more access to me. So boundaries are meant to be flexible, but they're on your schedule, they're on your time, not on anybody else's. And I feel like that can be a really big misconception.
100%. I'm gonna share a couple of personal stories. I would I was coached and taught. The company showed me you have 6 weeks to get students done. I would
Mhm.
drive 26 students. My backup driver would drive 10.
Mhm.
So at the company, I'm not going to mention their name, they said, you need to set up your schedule for 6 weeks.
Mhm.
You can work a couple of days on, take an afternoon off, take a morning off, take this day off to get the car serviced, oil
Mhm.
changes. You might have to go to the doctor, go to the dentist, see your family. Emergency will happen.
Mhm.
um, it always makes me laugh when I was in person doing driver's ed. I would see the soccer mom come in. I'm just going to grab an envelope. They would have a little schedule, all these little schedules. I would see the
Mhm.
soccer mom coming up. No hate soccer moms. I would see the soccer mom comes up and they're telling me my son or daughter can't drive on this day, this day, this day, this day. So
Mhm.
inside, I would have that internal struggle. I want to serve
Mhm.
you. I want to
Right.
get you done.
Right.
And stop you, this is like our counseling session, like you are helping me and you're helping others. So I would see this and you know me, I want to hustle. I want to get them
Right.
done. I
Right.
can't drive 24 hours a day. I need
No.
6 hours, eight
Yeah.
hours. I need time to use the bathroom, time to go eat,
Yep.
time to see my wife, time to just
Yes.
rest and
Mhm.
decompress from driving, not
Yeah.
hating it, but I love people and I love being in a car, but it's a commitment of
Mhm.
time.
Yeah.
And the car's like a driver's ed coffin sometimes. That's your
Right.
moneymaker, but also that can put you in a grave really fast because I've
Yeah.
seen instructors have heart attacks, have strokes, have nervous breakdowns.
Mm.
And then my boss has said, hey, can you cover this class? I'm off for 2 weeks. I started to laugh. I said, "Well, what happened?" Well, he told me what happened. I can't tell you what happened, but he told me what happened. So I made a couple extra $1,000, but at what cost?
Right.
What about
Right.
my wife's relationship? She needs me. She needs love.
Right.
She needs
Right.
attention. What
Right.
about me? I need to be able to cut the grass. I need to be able to work on
Mhm.
my race car. I need to go
Yeah.
play sports with my son. I need to go lift weights, walk the dog.
Mhm.
So I would find I wasn't setting boundaries in the beginning. And when I
Yeah.
would see that soccer mom bringing up the schedule, I would kind of cry inside and I would
Yeah.
laugh. But then when she saw the schedule filling up, she was like, oh, but moms and people overschedule their kids. They can't do
Yes.
10 things at once. Can you speak on that a little bit and maybe protecting boundaries? Kids need boundaries, young teens need boundaries, adults need boundaries.
Well, I think, first things first, kids learn from us. Everything our kids do, it's learned behavior. Well, where are they learning it from? They're learning it from you. They're learning
Mhm,
it from you, and then they're learning it from the people that they're exposed to, right? Whether it's family members, whether it's school, whether it's, extended family, right? It's all learned behavior. And so it is important that you model appropriate boundaries. You teach them
mhm,
appropriate boundaries. I am a very big advocate that that obviously we all want our kids to make good friendships, but we all know kids come from different forms of life. And so, you know, when they come in and, they're struggling with something, and I'll just use kind of this friendship space in terms of boundaries to kind of explain, I really try to say, hey, listen, I'm not going to tell you that you can't, be friends with this person, but these are some things you should look out for, right? It seems like this person may be taking advantage of maybe the situation, and just kind of shed that light, challenge their perspective, right? They're little human beings. Granted, if it's a unsafe environment, I'm definitely stepping in as a parent. However, they do have to learn how to problem solve. They do have to learn how to um, go through conflict and have conflict resolution. And so, as a parent, it is important to be able to guide them in the right direction. Don't just shut it down. Oh, if they do something, beat them up, or if not, just leave them in the dust. No, like, teach them how to have conversations, and that's also a part of why the younger generation doesn't know how to have appropriate, social skills with one another. So it's interesting. I want to ask you, how in the setting in the vehicle, how do you create a space that is thriving for your drivers, if they're coming, like I'm talking about, these kids are coming all different walks of life. How do you chameleonize yourself, to be able to create a space like that for them within the vehicle?
First, thank you for keeping it real. And what I've learned is, first in the beginning of my career, I wasn't very honest. The kid would make a horrible mistake. I would say
Yeah.
it's okay. But 3 or 4 or 5 years into my career, I said, we're going to have a crash. We're going to have a mistake. So I started just being honest. And
Mm-hmm.
once you start having a family, you think about your kids. And if
Yeah.
this adult or teen makes a mistake, I won't return home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I try to, I've tried, and you had an opportunity to kind of see me in action.
Mm-hmm.
I try to use this driver's ed moment, whether it's adult or teen. This is going to be you driving to work. This is going
Yeah.
to be you coming home in traffic. This is going to
Mm-hmm.
be you in rush hour. This is going to be
Mm-hmm.
you when you feel crappy. And I
Right.
try to transform that teachable moment into a life moment. So you've got to focus on your mental health and safety in the car. Um, I've learned to allow them to make mistakes gracefully.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
Yes.
go through a early yellow light, not a late yellow light,
Right.
because if they get comfortable around the yellow lights, we're going to get killed.
Right.
I show them and want them to learn from their mistakes. We're going to the curb, but we can't hit the curb. It's kind
Right.
of like us letting our son and daughter learn how to ride a bike. They're going to fall down three or four,
Mm-hmm.
five, 10,000 times,
Absolutely.
but on that 11,000 time, they're going to learn how to drive. In,
Absolutely.
in a car, I try to control the dangerous variables. We keep our
Mm-hmm.
speed up because if we're under speed, we're going to slam brakes or run a light. If we are too angry or emotional, we're going to lose focus. So I try to keep them in a zen
Yeah.
or chilled emotional state. And you have some background because you've seen me in action.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to keep things positive. I have the air conditioning on to keep it cool. If I see a client getting nervous or sweating or gripping the wheel, I tell
Mm-hmm.
them to relax. If they're losing focus, we get out and take a mental break.
Mm-hmm.
I've started looking more at their nonverbal behaviors.
Yep.
Now I have to
Mhm.
watch the car. I
Mhm.
can't I see you, but I gotta see what's happening in front, what's happening
Around
to
you,
the
yeah.
left. I have a mirror, I have a brake. I have to protect our space because I find today in 2025, people are in a hurry, they're selfish, they're
Mhm.
pushing crazy time limits. They're going 70 and a 35 on the
Mhm.
freeway. Look, the average speed is 77. If the speed limit is 65, they're going 77. If the speed
Yeah.
limit is 70, they're going about 85. So we're in the middle lane, we're in the right lane.
Mhm.
There are a lot more social media tools out there, such
Mhm.
as on Scene TV, there are photojournalists that go to accident scenes and just video. That has
Mhm.
been very helpful. Me
Mhm.
being truthful and honest, looking at crash statistics around the
Mhm.
country, around in our area, not trying
Mhm.
to scare them,
Mhm.
but trying to teach them. And what I do, and stop me when you're ready, I tell them, hey, you got to get a job. Wink, wink.
Mhm.
Hey, does your brother or sister have a job?
Mhm.
Yeah. So when we go get gas in the car, I
Mhm.
fill the car up. Hey, this is $20. Let's
Right.
go in together. Let's pay the
Mhm.
person. I want to show you how to put gas in the car. And for many
Mm.
kids,
I
so
love
I'm
that.
showing them that responsibility, showing them
Yeah.
how to check the oil, the windshield
Yeah.
wiper blade,
Yeah.
um, teaching them those small micro
Mhm.
moments.
Mhm.
And then I always report back to mom. Like if I was driving your son, we would drive in the neighborhood, making
Yep.
5 right turns, 5 left turns. I would say,
Right.
hey, what does your mom do for a living? What does your
Mhm.
dad do? Just building that trust. And right
Mhm.
around the third drive, they'll tell me everything. They'll tell me where the money
Mhm.
is in the safe. They'll tell me because they trust me. They
It is
trust
though.
me.
You build that rapport. You build that
Yes.
rapport with them. They've gotten comfortable. Now, I've been in the car with you. I seen all the action, and let me tell you, that is probably the most comfortable driving I've ever seen done by, by my cousin. But you
I've
create a
been in the
self.
back before. I've
Go.
taught I've taught other instructors, and
Hmm.
to be in the back, you have no control. You have
Yeah.
no brake. You have no
Mhm.
gas. And if they
Mhm.
make a wrong turn, you're like, I mean, you are like, are we going to live today? But I have to, and correct me, I have to stay grounded. I had a young
Mhm.
man yesterday
Oof.
almost go off the road to the left because he kept staring at the speedometer. And I
Yeah.
said, don't stare. He kept looking at it. And
Mm.
then we almost went off the road to the left. So
Ugh.
instead of panicking and ripping his heart out, I said,
Yeah.
listen, you got to be careful. Please don't
Mhm.
injure your instructor. So I
Mhm.
think you got to care more about other people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and I'm a car enthusiast and I'm not immune because if you teach drivers here long enough, you will have near misses.
Mhm.
Cars almost pulling out on you, cars running lights, the kids not checking blind spots, going too fast.
Mhm.
But you have to stay in like a zen,
Yeah.
safe, alert. Go ahead.
Well, you said something, and I was like, you know, you're not. You are absolutely right, but you also allow for parents to
Mm.
ride with you. Okay, and I know I witnessed firsthand the from the back seat, right? And
Yeah.
so, and I've witnessed how well you coach parents while you're also coaching their child. How do you, and phenomenal by the way, but how do you balance that? Because you do a very good job of not saying don't do that, as opposed what you do say is keep your hands on the wheel, check your speed, check your, you let them know what to do, which, as a parent, and I'll even a therapist, I'm quick, don't you da 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 da. And that is going to make a child do what it is you don't want them to do. So how do you maintain that energy, that positivity, and that coaching throughout those driving sessions?
Well, what I'm doing right now, I'm in the kitchen. I'm looking at my graduation picture from college, and I'll bring that up. I'm looking at a picture of my son and daughter. Um, it's just who I am. Um, you really have to put yourself into that teen, that adult,
Mm,
that parent. I think it's eye-opening from parents, and you had a first-hand perspective, and that's going to help you with your son and daughter. You learn from me, and whenever you're ready to take your son and daughter to that point, you know what to ask the instructor. You're
mhm,
going to look in that side that, look, I was taught to go talk to the parents. The vice president of the company said, go talk to the parents, build a relationship, say hi, tell them what they did right, tell them what they did wrong. Parents are hyper protective today, Life 360 app.
mm,
And I
mhm.
think um, there's no hiding in a car. The car will show you whether you understand. The car will
Right.
show you truth. The car will show you failure. The car will show you
Mhm,
frustration. The car will
mhm,
show superior knowledge.
mhm,
Um, and I think being honest with a parent, I wish more parents would come in on the beginning, maybe the
mhm.
third, maybe the last. But to be honest, parents don't have the time. They don't want to come in. They say,
Yeah.
no, that's your job.
Yeah.
Do you take Xanax? Are you on medication? Do you drink? Do you smoke? No, no, and no. I'm
Yeah.
happy on life.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm chilled. But from learning from you, I protect my boundaries.
Yeah.
This is my off time right now. I can decompress. I can relax. No, I don't come home and say, this kid almost killed me, smoke,
Mhm.
drink. No, I think just putting yourself, my job is to make the next generation teens and adults not scared to drive. There are
Yeah.
a lot of people out here who say negative things on social media and they're really selfish and into themselves. And you got to have thick skin. You're on social media, I'm on social media, you'll get 10 positive comments, one negative
Right.
comment. And that will
Right.
kind of throw you off. I think
Right.
just educating the parent, don't overreact, don't grab something,
Yeah.
don't scream because if you scream, they're going to
Mm.
stop. Instead of
Yeah.
saying hit the brake,
Mhm.
squeeze the brake.
Mhm.
I really think there's an opportunity to educate parents in that mental health aspect of teaching their son or daughter. There's
Mhm.
there's not a company out there, and you and I can investigate this further. Well, we can do a consultation call. We'll talk about that. But I think more parents need to be educated in their son and daughter's driving to
Mhm.
teach them the right way. Because if I get a ticket, get into an accident, I will lose my certification. So I walk it like I talk it.
Right.
I
Right.
hope I answered your question. Let me throw another question at you.
Mhm.
What does a typical day look like for you, and how do you carve out time for self care?
Ugh, my mom's out here will know what I mean when I say self-care, like, what is that, right? Um, to be honest, I carve out time where I can get it. Self-care, again, is so individualized and looks so
Mm,
different for everyone. Um, and so really it's, do I have 15 minutes of downtime in my
mm,
day? Can I go outside and take a walk and get some fresh air so that like I feel
mm.
like I've at least got the sun touching my skin sometime throughout the day?
Yes.
Not all the time am I going to have, hours without my kids because honey, they're on me like white on rice. So to find time for me is very minimal, right?
Mhm,
But I get intentional with the times that I do have those 15 minutes. I talk all day. I'm a therapist, so my drive home, I have no radio on. I sit in silence.
mm.
That is my decompress because as soon as I hit the driveway, mom, what's for dinner?
Yep.
So,
Go
you
time,
know,
mom time.
yeah, yeah. So, or, grocery shopping is not, my favorite, but when I go by myself, it's wonderful because I can have
Yes.
some solitude, so it's really finding time in the moments where it may not feel like that is time, right? And I feel like that sounds a little contradicting, but it is being intentional about what I do have, right? I'm being honest with myself. To have 3 hours of uninterrupted time, that may not happen unless I plan it. And even then, I have to be flexible, right? Because life be life in, and stuff hits us, and so it's about that intentionality. But in terms of like how day to day runs, I'm a big advocate for scheduling. I'm a big advocate for planning. It helps to prioritize, right, what needs to be done, and what doesn't. Because I do have an ADHD mind where I'm here, I'm there, I'm there. I start this, I don't finish that, and
Yep.
and then I'm back at square one with everything not being finished. So, scheduling and prioritizing are huge for being able to, get things done and efficiently too.
100%. For me, my mental health and taking a step back, I drive for 3 hours, then I
Hmm.
take a break. I eat. If I need to run errands, I can just chill in the bed. I can
Hmm.
play a video game. I can
Hmm.
just relax. Then I eat, I recharge, and then I
Mhm,
drive 2:30 to 4:30, hour break, and I drive 4:30 to 7:30. Then I'm done because I've learned from the past. Um, you do feel, and maybe you can help me with this. You can work so many hours in a day, you feel alone. You
mm,
you
mm,
you miss your loved one. Your
right,
mind wanders. You
right,
you miss your son or daughter. You think about yourself when you were younger. Am I going to be like when I'm older? I used to think about that check. If I
mm,
work 80 hours, I might have over $2,300, but after taxes, I'm going to have 1,900.
right,
But I miss
right,
my doctor's appointment. I miss
mhm,
getting my
mhm,
teeth cleaned.
mhm,
I don't have time to take my race motor out and take it to my engine builder and
mhm,
the race. I do. My life is run on the schedule. Well, I got to do lesson plans Sunday night. I've
right,
got to schedule drives. I've got to
mhm,
go online 6:30
mhm,
to 8:30. I can't forget my wife.
yeah,
If I spend
yeah,
all my time in the basement away from her, I won't have a wife anymore.
right,
I'll be
right,
alone.
mhm,
Um, I my You'll wake up and you'll be old and alone, right? Um, you I protect my time so much more
mm.
now because if you're too tired to enjoy the Kardashians, my wife and I love the Kardashians. I love that show because it's kind of real life. Um, I used to watch a lot of other real life interactive social media shows
Mhm.
just to see what life is like. The Kardashians' life is way different than ours, but I love the camera work. I love
Right.
and the Kardashians, they're incredible business women, right?
Right.
They're
Right.
planning, so I learn from them. Let me
Mhm.
throw out another question. We're doing great. This is real. This is pure. It's so good. Next, um, how has becoming a mother shaped your perspective of mental health and well-being? Can you give me a couple of examples of that? And talk about your son maybe in school with teachers, because I want to go to the heart of it.
Yeah, well, to be completely transparent, yes, I'm a therapist, but I'm also a person who does have anxiety and who does have depression and who went through postpartum after
Hmm.
having, my first and second child. And, um, you know, scary, to not
Hmm.
want to leave the house if I didn't have, my husband next to me, or,
Facts.
not wanting my kids to leave my sight because I was, totally scared of what could happen, of the unknown, right?
Hmm.
Just being kind of plagued by fear. And I think there comes a time, and it's, again, it's different for everyone, and how intentional they want to be with how they progress within themselves. But then there's this mindset shift that I personally had. I was um I was young. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just
Hmm.
starting off in career. I would had a child, and it was really figuring out, again, what is my purpose? What
Mm,
do I want to do? How am I going to be intentional with those things? And it the shift was, how can I take this and put my life in control in my own hands? And then it was, again, it was almost like a to-do list. It was
mm,
what needs to be done, knowing that Rome's not built in a day, knowing that it was going to take time, knowing that I was going to have to go through school, I was going to have to sit for hours, I was going to have to, intern, I was, you know, everything is a choice. It could be
mm.
really easy, right? And I could say, it's okay. I could, I could go work anywhere. I could go work anywhere, but I didn't want that. I wanted to sustain. I wanted to have, um, I wanted to have more for me. I wanted to have more for my family. And so my drive had to be the one that was the motivator. And, fast forward, to have children. And I do have a son who's in school who, who struggles, who has a learning disorder. And
Mhm.
so it is, collaboration with the teachers. It
Yep.
is being involved as a parent. It is, you said this, not a lot of parents like to be in the car and to drive. And it is disheartening to hear, but also relatable, as I see that in my own work with my young teenagers. Parents are very much like, oh, okay, that's their session. I'm not coming in there. But no, sometimes we need you to come in. Like,
Yep.
you are very much a part of this too. So it is important to have that family involvement, parental involvement in the things that those kids are doing. And let me tell you, they're going to say, no, I don't want you there. Them kids want them there. The kids want their parents to see how well they're doing, even if they're not saying it. And so, I think that's, in terms of being a parent, the mindset shift is it. And you've been saying it, it's not just about ourselves anymore. It is about who we've got with us, and that mindset shift.
Let me ask you a question. So, in terms of education, because I'm
Mhm,
an educator, you have teachers. Our love is education and getting this next generation ready.
mhm,
You have two
mhm,
groups of teachers. You have some under 10 years who are still
mhm.
learning their craft.
Yeah.
You have some over 10 years. The principal is the key. It's hard being a principal. It's hard being in education because you face a lot of criticism.
Mm,
Kids can't read and write. They
mhm.
struggle.
Yes.
They always have their hand out, mom,
Yep.
dad, mom, dad,
Yep.
mom, dad.
Yep. Yep.
Um, and it's a hard interactive life because you see them there in middle school, high school, and around the 10th grade, most of them figure it out.
Mm,
Most of them are starting to drive, but some are not.
mhm.
It really comes down to a community. Build that relationship with your teacher.
Yeah.
Reach out to one. Hey, here's my number. Call me
Yep.
once a week. Call me
Yep.
once a month. Lock
Yep.
me in. And
Yep.
instead of ripping
Email.
the
Teachers
yeah,
will email.
yeah. Rip
Mhm,
instead of and stop me when you want. Instead of ripping the teacher's heart out,
mhm,
look, it's 33, 33, 33. 33% of the parents will rip the teacher apart and blame them for everything. 33 will love them and praise them and help them. And another
mhm,
33% don't care because you
mhm,
have younger parents who are partying, who don't really want to invest their time, their son or daughter's
mhm,
off a reading level. And then they
mhm.
bring this to high school and they fall further and further behind. And
Right.
there's always been a state test. Uh,
Mm,
and driver's ed, and I think of it as an opportunity because I thought I had a chance to drive 18-year-olds
mm,
and in the metro area because people of color
mhm.
can't afford driver's ed. It's $450. I was reading
Yeah.
an article in Ohio. There are families that can't afford driver's ed. So these young people wait to 18. They don't really have experience. They're first time drivers in a car. They may have mom and dad take them out four or five, six times. They may
Yeah.
barely be able to pass the test, and then they're out driving. And
Right.
then they say, no, I don't want to drive. And then they're 19, and
Right.
then it's time to go to college. Or so I think there needs to be a more concerted effort.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, Al, we got another guest popping in. You got a question popping in. Let's keep going. Things are
Mhm,
going good because this is real. And I just think there needs to be more of that mental health aspect. If I had someone like you to talk to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, it would have helped me deal with my wife, dealing with me as a man, a father.
mhm,
Am I making the right choice? I'm reading a question that popped in. I was asking so many questions to you. What that I passed my UK driving test. Can you speak to this gentleman who's in the UK?
mhm,
Their test is a little bit more challenging.
mhm,
Um, but what are some challenges that you've seen
mhm.
driving early on in your career? And can you tie this to mental health and aspects a little bit?
I think I mean, first things, nerves, right? The nerves of getting into a vehicle that you are operating, and it's not necessarily just me controlling this vehicle. It is everyone else around me, right? And that is very, very overwhelming, you know? And so, you mentioned you having to ground yourself in your position. And I think that's something, that's important that drivers do when they're entering vehicles too, is really getting to a place where you feel like you are in the present, where you're you're aware, self-aware of yourself, but you're aware of
Mm.
what's going on around you. But I can imagine a lot of nerves just wanting to operate, having to operate a vehicle, but then also having to pay attention to everything around. So just making sure that you're feeling confident in yourself, which again, those nerves might make that feel shot a little bit. But getting into that vehicle and being aware of yourself, what you can be in control of. I think that's the biggest thing. You are in control of your vehicle. And while you can be self-aware of what's going on around you, you can do what you do in your vehicle and make sure that you're, paying attention.
I look at driving as a step to becoming more responsible. Getting your license, learning how to drive doesn't make you an adult.
Right.
That
Right.
responsibility, are you going to have good maintenance on your car?
Yeah.
So when you need your car, it starts up. Are
Yeah.
you going to renew your tags early?
Right.
Are you going to help your mom, help your dad, help your grandmother early on after college? My mother didn't learn how to drive, so I want to serve my mom. My grandmother didn't drive, so I would take her to the grocery store. Of course,
Mhm.
grandma, you know, um, helping my cousins. I was very, very close, and I'm still very close. I have all girl cousins. So my cousin sang at my wife and I wedding,
Mhm.
pure. Um, I try to look at, okay, once this young person gets their license or permit, you're going to want a job.
Yeah.
For instance, we put $25 in gas in. We're almost a little past half a tank. I told my student, you got to get a job. This
Mhm.
car does not run on air. Oh, yeah, I'm looking
Mhm.
for a job. You don't have a job. Um, and I always think about those opportunities because nothing
Yeah.
was given to me, probably like nothing for you. I had a $250 ghetto piece of trash car, but that taught me responsibility. I worked at a bus terminal. You know,
Mm.
I paid $250 for my car. I was scared to bring it home because I didn't know what my dad and mom would say. You know, well, you
Mhm.
got this piece of junk car at home. Well, it's my piece of junk. So all summer,
Mhm.
my car stayed at my neighbor's house 3 blocks down the street. And I said, enough, because I used to walk, get my car, drive to school, park the car, come
Mhm.
back, and walk. So I finally got tired of it. And I said, okay, I don't know what dad and mom are going to say. My mom looked out, he's got a car. That's what my mom said. I'm like, and my dad was like, whose piece of junk car is that? It's mine, dad.
Mhm.
And he paused
Mhm.
because not saying they didn't love me. They had the money to get me a car, but they weren't gonna get me one. I had to get my
Mhm.
own car. I had to get my own
Mhm.
insurance. I
But
had
how
to
is that sense of independence for you? Like, what did that feel like for you? I can imagine it was, it was everything besides the fear of the parents.
it was good. Well, first of all, fear of the parent, that's number one. You know, when you're growing up in the late '90s, early '80s, when dad or mom says something, you do it.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't, oh, I'll get around to it. They'll come in and choke you, knock you out. What? Okay. So,
Yes.
but if you do that today, child protective services will be
It's
called.
coming,
So
I guess.
it's
Yeah.
they're coming for you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but, oh, I have another great moment too. Um, it goes back to there is no book on
Yeah.
parenting. It
At
changes
all.
every year, every second.
Mhm.
You know, some parents don't want their kids to struggle, so they get them everything, but
Yeah.
then they don't understand the struggle. They don't
Right.
know how to struggle. Through a struggle, you become stronger. Through a struggle, you become organized. Through
Yes.
a struggle, you
Yes.
learn how to handle because life you have death, you have
Yep.
bills.
Yep.
You know, um, uh, our daughter was taking a shower, the drain leak, and then there was a hole in the first floor, and then water started coming
Mm.
underneath. So things happen. You got to
Yeah.
be prepared for it. You try to teach your son or daughter, we're a family no matter what. We're going to have
Mhm.
family time. Put the phone up, stop emailing, stop texting. Let's have
Mhm.
family time. You got to protect
Mhm.
that family space. Um, and I think people get in a hurry. I try to have driving as that mental stimulation away from mom and dad. And I get a chance to see, I saw um, your cousin grow
Mm.
up
Mhm.
taking that responsibility. I asked her, don't mention your name. I asked her, what are you going to do? Well, I can go play video games. I can go see my cousins, or I could just rest or do homework. I said, do it all because
Mhm.
driving will give
Mhm.
you choices. It will open it up.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you
Yeah.
another question. This is about mental health and motherhood. What
Mm.
strategies do you use to stay calm and centered when life feels chaotic?
Mm. Well, when isn't it chaotic, especially in the world we live in? But also as a 5-person household.
Mm,
Chaos is our middle name. But I think really to remain calm, I especially with my kids, slightly also with my husband, is clear and concise communication, right? Also something I know that you use within your setting. But just being very clear about the things that need to be done, that I want to be done in this
mhm.
house, the expectations, right? That I'm very clear and explicit about the things that I'm looking for. And when I get upset, because I get upset or I do get angry, I do try to stop myself and I say to my children, this is the last time I'm going to say something. Because the next time I say something, it's not going to be this calm. And typically they listen. Not all of the time, right? But and sometimes I got to cross the threshold. But
Mm.
it is having that clear communication to say, hey, listen, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need, this is the expectation, which is also something similar I've seen you do within the car.
I try to set super high expectations for myself.
Yeah.
I try to go on a different route every hour.
Mhm.
Yesterday, I drove in a different area, very curvy, roundabout. It really challenged. If I can get the young lady or man out of the parking lot after we
Mhm.
go around the parking lot 4 or 5 times,
Mhm.
building confidence. I
Mhm.
realize this is the first step toward becoming an adult, responsibility, and when they share their family, what does your mom do? What does your dad do? Now, if they're a teacher, they automatically pass because I'm a teacher. Because we as teachers, we understand the
Mhm.
expectations to grind,
Yeah.
and I think just what I do, I'm like the funny husband. Like if
Mm.
you're mad at me, I would make you laugh.
Mhm.
Honey, we need to go get dinner. I'm on it. Honey,
Mhm.
you need to go to the store and get toilet tissue. We keeping it real.
Yeah.
Honey, you need to
Yeah.
go get pads. Honey,
Mhm.
you need to go because that's being married is teaching me greater responsibility. My wife and I want to make sure we read to our kids.
Yeah.
We make sure they
That
come
involved.
home
Yeah.
early, and no matter how old they are,
Mhm.
we love you. We sent you a text. How come you didn't text back? You too
Mhm.
busy to call?
Mhm.
During New Year's, my daughter
Mhm.
said, "Dad, can you take my friends and I down to the metro area?" I'm like,
Mhm.
"Yes," because I don't want her to be in an Uber or Lyft and rely on someone else. As long as I'm
Mhm.
alive and I'm here, baby,
Mhm.
uh, okay, get all your friends, 6 girls in dresses,
Mhm.
chest out, ass out, everything out. They're partying. They're single. They're not
Right.
married. They're
Mhm.
21, 22, 23. They can do that, right? We keeping it real here. But
Right.
also, honey, take care of yourself. Um, I'm trying to think of a funny joke one of her friends had because these guys were trying to talk to one of her friends. Um, and it's, you know, when you get a chance to see your kids grow up, hopefully you're teaching them right when
Right.
they start talking to you about their day. Hey, mom,
Right.
this happened. Hey, dad, this happened. My daughter would come to me for like advice on guys. My
Mhm.
daughter would come to my wife on advice on guys. She'll say certain things to my wife she won't say to me. We've
Right.
always tried to use and live personal examples
Right.
to deal with people. Some of your friends are users.
Mhm.
They're not going to want to achieve anything, and you need to limit your friends. Keep your circle of friends
Yes.
tight. Keep it
Yes.
small. You
Yes.
can't always be because my son does have opportunity to make a UFL team in about 3 weeks. He's got to
Right.
focus on him. We can't be
Right.
focusing on a girl or boys. Focus on you have an opportunity of a lifetime. Daughter's in real estate. She's almost done with school.
Right.
But she's always lived life. She's our party queen. She's out there. If
Right.
she needs something, she can call me. She can call
Right.
mom,
Right.
and I'll come and get her. No judgment. I'll come and
Yeah.
get her. I
Yeah.
don't, as long as I'm alive, I don't want her to have to rely on a guy or a
Right.
girl. And
Right.
we all have friends who made mistakes, did this, did that. We're not going to judge. Hey,
Mhm.
Dad, can you pick up so and so and drop them off?
Yeah.
Sure. And I just want to show her I love her, I care, and she's gonna work hard to get what she wants, stacking up money, getting a jet ski, moving out, getting her first house.
Mhm.
Um, so she has those goals. Why don't you ask me a couple of questions? You got a list there. Throw out a couple of questions
I
to
do.
me.
I do. I didn't want to cut you off, but
You're good. You're good.
I did
Come
have a
on.
question about when has there ever been a time where you've had a traumatic experience happen, and if so, like how did you handle that? How did you bounce back from it? What was it and how did you bounce back from it?
Okay, I'm gonna take you right to when my dad died. I was in college,
Mhm.
going into my junior year of college.
Mhm.
I got a message from my mom.
Mhm.
And she said, "We didn't want to tell you earlier in the week because you had a college game.
Mhm.
No one on campus would offer me a ride home. I did have my car. I was at the deepest point in my life. One of my good friends, Brett, and I can
Mhm.
name him, he took me back to the metro area. We went straight to the funeral home.
Mhm.
I saw my dad there in the coffin, and I fell on the ground and
Mhm.
cried because here
Right.
was a guy in his 50s, very strong man from the South, man from Alabama, didn't really show a lot of emotions.
Mhm.
And I couldn't believe that he had passed. and
Mhm.
I'm looking at him in the coffin. I fell out on the ground and I started bawling for like 20 minutes.
Mm.
And
I'm so
then I
sorry.
heard a voice, stop crying.
Mm.
I don't want to see you like this. And I got up off the ground. I hugged him.
Mhm.
You know, his body was cold, and I was okay because he wanted me to be strong. He wanted
Mhm.
me to be a good man, not make my mom or dad. Um, didn't want to embarrass them. Never
Yeah.
wanted to embarrass them. Don't
Mhm.
have me come up to that school. If I come into school, it's gonna be a problem.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
mom and dad.
Right.
You know, he saw me play once in high school. He saw me play a couple of times in college on
Mhm.
TV. Um, so, and I have kept that legacy alive for my son. He played for Alabama A&M, HBCU. My
Right.
son played for Prairie View, HBCU. And I
Nice.
brought that yearbook down, showed my son when he played Alabama State. I was there in Texas,
Right.
and I knew my dad was looking down. And that legacy, um, and just staying grounded,
Mhm.
keeping my wife's dad always said, "Pay your house note first. Pay your
Mhm.
bills. You
Mhm.
always pay your house note first. If anything else goes bad, pay your house note first." So
Right.
we're pretty good financial. It just takes managing,
Mhm.
budgeting, and again, I have a big sense of humor, and I use humor a lot to escape. I use
Mhm.
humor a lot to keep things in perspective,
Yeah. Yeah.
because a lot of people make it really serious,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people are they're too serious. Like,
Mhm.
I have a good sense of humor. If you thought you were laughing in the car, if you would have saw me online with your cousin, just making them laugh, but educating them, making
Yeah.
people feel comfortable
Yeah.
to ask questions.
Yeah.
Um, and just not disappointing my mom and dad, graduating, not
Mhm.
embarrassing them,
Right.
not getting someone pregnant, not going to jail, not
Mhm.
embarrassing the family
Yeah.
name, right?
Right.
And holding your head proud. Just those small mini lessons. And my mom, you know, a Southern woman, never really screaming at us. Now she got off that house shoe and popped us upside the head. I love you,
Yes,
mom.
mom. Yes, mom.
Right, right. But just loving her and
Yeah.
respecting her and being a good servant.
Mhm.
And she kept us very closely involved in her family. We would go to her mother's house all the time. She would catch the bus from our house to her mother's house. We were grounded in the family
Mhm.
and very close to our cousins.
Mhm.
And I remember those lessons, and I would bring my son and daughter around my side of the family. And my son and
Mhm.
daughter say, "I want to see your side of the family, Dad."
Right.
You
Right.
know, and just they're in Michigan, they're in Ohio, they're in
Mhm.
Florida, they're in
Mhm.
California. One of my cousins on my dad's side reached out to my son. They're in Vegas. So my
Right.
son, he'll drive to freaking Vegas. He
Right.
doesn't see, but he was at Belo Horizonte, Brazil.
Right.
He was at Youngstown State in Ohio. He was at Upper Iowa. He was in Houston,
You've
Texas at Prairie View. So he
you've really
realizes
instilled a lot of confidence in them. You've
he's all
instilled
over
so
the
much
place. Yes.
confidence in them. So what is the uh tactic? Like what role does that confidence play behind the wheel?
Um, Teaching them to understand danger.
Mhm.
If I was driving your son and you've seen me, I'm teaching him to understand. You see that car to the left?
Mhm.
Make sure you know what they could do. You see the
Mhm.
traffic light?
Mm.
Understand. I teach them to understand danger.
Right.
Listen to me. We run toward fear. We don't run away from fear, because
Right.
if we're always protecting
Mm.
them, they won't learn. Now, I don't put us
Yes.
in danger, like driving
Yeah.
through a busy parking lot, maybe at Walmart or grocery store. You have
Mhm.
people coming across, you have older people who will walk in front of you, you have young kids with headphones. I'm trying
Mhm.
to teach him to, him or her, you have a
Mm.
son, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I'm trying to teach your son to understand the dangers. Your
Yeah.
son has been watching you and your husband since he was 0. If
Right.
you're a good driver, he'll have some of that. If you're a bad
Right.
driver, he'll have some of that. If you
Right.
road rage, he'll have some of that. If you're
Right.
caring and loving, he will develop his own DNA through me, through you, your husband, through social
Right.
media, through playing
Right.
video games. And
Right.
we hope and pray
Mhm.
that they will grow up and most of them do, but
Right.
there's a large group who have anxiety. They
Yeah.
need your services.
Mhm.
And while we're talking, the stand store, and I was looking at that before we came on, I wanna do that. It's only $29 a month, but I can set up virtual meetings. I
Mhm.
can sell a digital product,
Mhm.
because I'm at that point, but it's another commitment in time. I try
Right.
to have systems in place
Right.
to make me more efficient. I have
Mhm.
videos set for the next 3 weeks.
Mhm.
I have driving set, but also I protect my time more. Ask a few more
Mhm.
questions.
Well, no, I was gonna say, you spoke to what we do or what I do or what us therapists do in the mental health world with anxiety, which is, we encourage our clients to be gently exposed to those things that create that fear, right? So the fact that you are, gently walking them through, the busy parking lots or,
Yep.
the busy intersections or the highways, those are things that are fearful, yes, but they are with someone who has now instilled some trust, where they're with someone who is amping up their confidence, and they're
Mhm.
able to, continue or with assistance, be able to go out in those spaces. And so, just was clapping it up because, I that is, again, that is what we do in our space or encourage our clients to do. And I think it's a beautiful thing that they're able to be gently exposed to that while in trusting hands, and be coached, positively along the way.
I think if I had to do over again, I would love for you to introduce yourself to each class. I think parents, teens need what you bring, your balanced approach, your demeanor. You're like big sister,
Mm-hmm.
auntie, smiling,
Mm-hmm.
chilled,
Mm-hmm.
but you're gonna speak truth, and then you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna take them to go get a smoothie, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yep.
speak truth. If they mess up, you're gonna hear from your
Mm-hmm.
uncle, you're gonna hear from me. We love
Yep.
you, but
Yep.
if you keep messing up, you're going to get in trouble, you're going to get hurt,
Right.
you're gonna
Right.
um,
Got to
Michael
give the
Jordan
reels to those too. The reels.
Michael
Yeah.
Jordan's
Gotta.
son, he got in trouble and he got arrested. So
Mm-hmm.
I saw that in the news, and that hurts. I think, the bigger stage you go to,
Mm-hmm.
the easier it is to fall down,
Mm.
because people are watching you.
Right.
They
Right.
wanna manipulate you.
Mm-hmm.
I look at driving as an opportunity and freedom. There are people who never want to drive or who
Right.
always rely on someone else. My parents taught me to be independent, but
Right.
also be humble. I'll help anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that
If
during COVID, but I did have boundaries, and my wife had to pull me back and say, "What are you doing?
Right.
You're burning out.
Right.
Where's my husband?"
Right.
She would, you know, hit me in the head. What are you doing? Slow
Right.
down.
Right.
Your daughter. I miss you. Before our daughter learned how to drive, Dad. I need to practice. Dad, I need to
Mhm.
practice. So I have to
Mhm.
look at my schedule, take days off, be here for
Right.
my daughter. Even if
Right.
even if I didn't do anything, just being here at home with her,
Right.
knowing that I'm here. I wanna ask you a few more questions. This is
Mhm.
this is really good. How do you find joy, gratitude? What are
Mhm.
some of those special moments that you do? You're in that healthcare industry, you're in that mental health, you're in that space, you're on social media, and I love your social media platform. Can you give it a shout out, please, for us?
Yeah, absolutely. I can be found on Facebook and Instagram at Kindness, Positivity, and Wellness, and the same for TikTok, Kind, Positive, and Well. But joy comes from within. I feel
Mm,
like that's just such a huge misconception that other things are to spark that joy inside of us. But the gratitude also has to come from within. I preach again to my clients to wake up with gratitude. I've encouraged to put sticky notes on your mirror, write with
mm,
lipstick on the mirror, dry erase marker on the mirror,
mm,
give yourself compliments. Look at yourself and give yourself a compliment in the morning. Wake up and be thankful for X, Y, and Z. Those things have to come from within. It's a misconception to think that it's coming outwardly. And so I think really, you try to start your day off that way. Now, listen, because we know life comes hard, fast, and quick.
yep.
And you have to find joy, or you have to find some contentment within even the struggles that go on, even
mm,
in the anxieties that come on, the
mm,
overwhelmed situations that come on. There is a light always, always somewhere in
mm,
situations. It's just you have to be the one to seek that out, and if not, you know, you dwell, you stay in a space that is uncomfortable. You stay in a space that kind of keeps you from being able to swim. Um,
mm.
and you can't doggy paddle forever, you
Mm, we
know.
got some hearts here. I like that. Keep talking about
Yeah.
that doggy paddle. So I'm
Yeah.
going to share mine. Driving with Miles on YouTube,
Yes.
Instagram, driving with Miles. I'm on Discord, also on TikTok at the funny underscore guy too. I think just knowing who your audience is,
Mm,
sharing happy moments, sad moments, um, and my joy, and I can talk about your cousin because I drove her. She had her last drive today. I saw her driving on the expressway. I saw her parallel parking. And I'm just thinking within a week, she's going to have her digital certificate. And then the
mm,
family's going to invest time. Her brother said, when is she going to get her permit? So there's a 24-year-old there waiting to pour love and
yes.
support
Mm,
into their little sister.
mm,
I didn't have an older brother. I had a lot of girl cousins. They were older.
mhm.
I think today in 2025, you can reach out to people more frequently
Yeah.
through social media, through a
Yeah.
Zoom.
Yeah.
Like us talking right now is this is my therapy session. You are helping me keep balance and perspective.
Yeah.
And my wife told me you need to change jobs. You need to change different driver's ed companies. I'm not going to mention it because I was driving an hour from home,
Yeah.
but then sometimes kids would not show up, adults would not show up. So
Yeah.
I'm sitting in a
Yeah.
parking lot crying, depressed. There's so
Yeah.
many times I would call my daughter and just kind of
Mhm.
sob because I would lose an hour here, an hour
Mm,
there. And those hours could be sleeping,
right.
eating,
Right.
and you're
You were
you're a
experiencing
therapist.
burnout
Yes, oh my God. And
big time.
and then yes, I was burned out, and I really tried to protect myself from that. I have more control of my time now, and I know for 2 hours I got to go online. I'm not saying I don't want to be in person, but I think online is the way to go for your services.
Yep. Yep.
Maybe us doing a large therapy session. We can talk more about that offline, because people need these services. My
Yeah.
son, he was interviewed, and I'll send you a link on that. He was interviewed about mental health and college athletes.
Mm,
And I'll send you that. I'll just start sending you stuff, and you can look at it, and that'll give you a perspective of maybe some opportunities.
right.
Because my son was kind of grinding for 6 years, and then when he would come home, people need structure. And
Mhm.
he has to lift at a certain time, be in a
Yeah.
meeting at a certain time, be at
Yeah.
practice at a certain time. We have, and I'm like that too. I gotta have that structure
Mhm.
and that love.
Mhm.
We're gonna wrap it up in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Um, I'm going to share what you have given me just a lot. Got another question. There is a lot of mental issues as it relates to the fear of driving. Hope
Mhm.
talked about that.
Yeah.
First, can you say your socials again? So, Hope, I want you to reach out to her. So, say your socials again.
My socials, I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Kindness, Positivity, Wellness, and then on TikTok, it's Kind, Positive, and Well, and you can connect with me on there. I am working on, as Mr. Miles said, a stand store to work on how I can connect better with my
Mhm,
online
mhm,
community, as I am only licensed in Maryland. So
mhm.
I am working on that to come, but you can follow for positive mental health tips, life tips, encouragement, all of those things you can absolutely find on my page.
So, Hope, this is the person you want to talk to. And, God is good. Like, I just met Kiki, like, randomly. Like, who's this person? Hey,
Hmm.
can Can my family member right in the back? Sure, we
Yeah,
started talking. She
yeah.
has a beautiful Instagram page. Beautiful, good colors, branding, kindness. This is
Thank
where we are
you.
in 2025. We need to make a wraparound service.
Yeah,
And people, this is the daily struggle. They have anxiety, they have fear,
yeah,
and every third or fourth question is anxiety, is fear.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then, we'll talk more. I'll send you some of my comments. What I'm going to do is cut and paste some of my comments so you can kind of see. I
yeah.
want you to use my platform to really build you, and I'll link in your stuff and my socials, and it's just going to funnel people to you. So, but God is good,
Much
because
appreciated. Thank you.
it's
Thank
it's
you.
going to force it's going to force us to make that next move to serve, because ultimately my goal
Absolutely.
is to get a Tesla, to use that technology to teach adults and teens, and to get them ready for a job, a
Yeah,
resume, and they're going to need your services. So we'll figure out how to scale it, and that's what's important.
absolutely.
I just want
I
to say
thank you so
thank
much.
you.
Yes,
It's
thank
been real,
you. It
and then
has.
what's gonna we will edit this out. I can send you the clip of the video. You can edit it. We'll talk offline, and
Sounds good.
because I'll have this, I can send you the link. It's probably going to be and 12 gigs or more, which is fine.
Yep,
But
yep,
I think the audio's good, the video's good.
yep.
We'll talk about memes and color, and you can help me with your areas of expertise. I can help you scale it.
Absolutely.
I'll
Yeah.
get an affiliate link for Opus Clips, because that's what I use to
Mhm,
scale it out to all the social media platforms. One platform, you put them in, you hit a
mhm,
button, it
mhm.
scales them out. So I'll share that with you. Um,
Okay.
could you say one other thing? We got a couple other people popping in. What do you see as a need for people like 18 to maybe 28 who have anxiety, who
Mm.
want to learn how to drive? What do you see as something they need?
I think something that they need, in terms of I think it's really going to be needing to focus on that mindset, needing to focus and understand what is it that you want? What is it that you want to work towards? What are your goals? It's an age that's in such transition and
Yes.
they feel like they need to have life figured out. And let me just, you don't, you do not have to have life figured out. Again, I'm 34 and I feel like I'm just figuring life out. I'm just
Um,
figuring out
Hope,
steps.
let me throw this into you. Hope
Yeah.
said, and adults are older than that. She said that.
Yeah.
So can you talk about, we see adults as 21, so,
Yeah.
31, 41,
Yep.
51.
Yep.
So it, we get it right to the heart to it, and we got 5 people coming in. So if you got a few more minutes, so look, um, if you were giving us a therapy session right now, we got
Mhm.
6 people coming in. If
Mhm.
you were giving us a therapy session right now, you know, we want to drive, we want to
Mhm.
move out, we want to get a
Mhm.
house, we want
Mhm.
to, commit to our boyfriend or girlfriend, we want to buy
Mhm.
a car. Can you talk about some of the anxieties that we'll go through? Questions are coming in too.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you're going to feel overwhelmed with anxiety because this is unknown. All of these
Mm.
things are new, right? And when you're new to something, you don't necessarily know what you're doing. I'm new to this. I did not know what to expect getting online. Let me be so for real and transparent.
It's
But
from
my
the
guy,
heart. Let
Mr.
me tell you,
Miles,
it's from the heart. Like, I'm in tears. Like, I see these people comments, and you'll see it too. And I'm just like a microphone for you. The next question is, I don't fear driving. I have fear of crashing or hurting myself and some other people. I got some hearts coming in. Can you
yeah.
speak to that a second
I
from a
mean, the
mental health
fear
standpoint?
the fear is real. Your fear can never be invalidated. Like, first and foremost, that fear can never be invalidated. However, that fear can't stop you from getting
Ooh.
in the vehicle and learning, right? You have to know that you're the only one who's in control of what you can do. Unfortunately, stuff may happen. That's life. Stuff may happen.
Keep
However,
talking. More hearts are coming. Keep
if
preaching.
you
Talk to
if
us.
if you can sit in the driver's seat and take control, be aware, be self-aware, learn, listen, be a sponge, soak up the things that you know you're supposed to do while you're in the driver's seat. Check those mirrors, check your speed, watch what's going on around you. You know, you're going to be in the best position possible. Unfortunately, you're on a road with other people who have to be in control of themselves, right? And you cannot overextend, you cannot get in that vehicle and do drive their vehicle while you're driving yours. You can only do what you can do within your vehicle. And metaphorically, in your vehicle of life, right? Because I'm a therapist and I'm going to take it there. But as it pertains to driving, yes, specifically in your vehicle, but metaphorically in your vehicle of life.
I got another comment. It's getting ready to pop off.
Yes.
Victoria said, having a strong support system is really great as well. Can you talk about support systems from your perspective? What are the top three support systems that you think are needed? Maybe late teens, 20s, 30s, 40s. Can you identify one or two support systems?
I think, I mean, let's be honest, especially in the day and age that we live in, support is needed at any age, right?
What you
I
said,
think,
what
of
you said.
course,
Yes.
of course, we think of kids, they probably need the most support, right? And then their parents need extended support, right?
Yeah.
But support is needed all the way around, right? But it's really about, where's your village? Where's your
Mm.
community? And if you don't have that village or community, how can you create one? And I think that's also really difficult too, because people feel like, well, how can I connect with other people? Which is scary, connecting with others. But again, that fear can't keep you in that space. Hey, how are you? I My son had basketball this morning, and I don't know all the parents there, but even just going and sitting down, like, which one's your kid, sparks a conversation instantly.
I got a positive comment for you. LaShonda Lucas gave us a wave and she said, glad you guys are doing this, getting those hearts and loves. See, isn't it
Yes.
funny? Isn't it funny? I got another comment. Lee R said, I'm going to a spiritual support. Prayer is wonderful for me. Can you shout your
Wonderful.
socials out again? Shout them out
Yeah,
again.
absolutely. Facebook and Instagram are kindness, positivity, and wellness, and TikTok is kind, positive, and well. Please follow me. You will find positive things on there, whether it's related to mental health, life in general, but positive things, encouragement, all of the above.
Let's keep expanding it. So, and this is just a first step. The one thing I say about this is our therapy session.
Yeah,
And if we can set a time every Saturday, and then we can flip on platforms. We can go Instagram, we can go
mhm,
Facebook, we can go TikTok, because every platform is slightly different.
yeah.
And use like I was nervous. I didn't know if this was going to work. I'm like, I got a link. Do I send it over the phone? Do I like I was nervous. Like
Yeah,
I t-
yeah,
I told your cousin, like, we're gonna be going live, and I was scared. Like my stomach was bubbling and
yeah,
I
yeah,
ran downstairs. If my battery, like, I
yeah.
remember the pure days of me going on social media. I went live on a shoebox in the bathroom, my girl, on a
Mhm,
shoebox.
mhm,
Like, and because
mhm.
the
That
it's
fear won't hold us down. That fear won't hold us down. Not gonna keep us in that. Listen, it's
and
hard. Everything is hard. You got to choose your hard. It's either gonna be easy hard or it's gonna be hard hard, and you're gonna work for it.
and before I let you go, so look, my next move is, I want to get on LinkedIn. I'm scared. It could open up more opportunities.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to get the driver's ed car. I'm scared. I have an LLC.
Mm,
I did that, but
mm,
fear is holding me back. I want to get a grant, get a car. I
yeah,
got to stay organized in my journey.
yep,
Tax deductions,
yep.
because we're investing time. You're investing
Hmm.
your time. I'm investing my time. I know it's going to pay off from the comments
Hmm.
I see. I know with our synergy,
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
developing that mental help stand store
Hmm.
virtual meeting with your experience, my experience, guide people. I think a lot of
Yep.
people just need a direction.
Yeah,
They need someone to listen to them
for
and and
sure.
and help them. You are a blessing. We'll talk
As are you.
offline. We have to set up a time once a week because people need to know they can come. Oh, got a big comment. Hold on, got some comments. Got some comments. I'm glad I saw this. I'm going to resume my driving lessons. Hopefully, get my license. But we have a lot to do with. Another comment, yeah, this would be welcomed because the fear of driving or hurting someone is so mental. I
Yeah.
love that you said in a relationship to do things, even though it's earlier. So basically, the comments are our connection. The
Yeah.
people who are taking the time to watch this,
Yeah.
and the algorithm will push it out.
Yeah.
And these comments will give, and we'll talk about it offline of what our community needs,
Hmm.
because
Absolutely.
we are serving people. We're not serving a computer algorithm,
Yeah.
right? If people connect to you or to
Yeah.
me or both of us,
Right.
they will absorb it, and then I'll ask you. But we have a lot to do with. Um, we'll talk. We'll be strategic. This is going to help you help me. Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you. I'm going to let you go. I'm going to give you a quick call when I got off. Throw some ideas out, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Bye.
Sounds good. Bye. Thank you.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Yep.